Hi, my name is Rick Davies, and this video is going to introduce you to a web app called ParEvo. The ideas behind the design of ParEvo came out of my PhD research on organizational learning in NGOs in Bangladesh in the 1990s. Although I gave the ParEvo idea a brief trial run in a classroom in Swansea in Wales in the mid-1990s, I then put it aside until last year. Since then, I've invested some funds in contracting the implementation of the ParEvo design into a web app that will enable multiple people to participate in its use regardless of their location. I'm now trying to accumulate a body of experience with its use through encouraging a wide range of people to try it out for different purposes. In the process, I'm making some further refinements to its design and to an accompanying guide for facilitators of ParEvo exercises. So what is ParEvo all about? In brief, ParEvo is a web-assisted participatory scenario planning process. More accurately, ParEvo is a method of developing alternative past histories or future scenarios using a participatory evolutionary process, hence the name ParEvo. This involves the reiteration of variation, selection, and reproduction, something which is known as the evolutionary algorithm. The process is designed to be used by multiple people to produce a collective good, a set of storylines. In addition, the process generates data on how value has been created individually and collectively. The design of the ParEvo process is captured in the ParEvo logo seen here, which is in the form of a branching structure. On the left is a seed, a paragraph of text describing the beginning of a storyline shown as a red node. In the next column to the right are 5 connected nodes. Each of these is a new paragraph of text which describes what happens next after the event described in the seed. There are 5 alternative versions, the beginnings of 5 alternative storylines. Each of these new paragraphs is submitted by an individual participant, 1 paragraph per participant. They do so independently of each other, not knowing what each other is writing. Each of the successive columns to the right is a new iteration of the same kind of process. In the third column, we can see 5 new nodes representing 5 new paragraphs of text, which have been added by the same 5 participants who were involved in the previous iteration. However, in this iteration, we can see that the participants have chosen not to add any new contributions onto 2 of the previous storylines. They have become extinct storylines. On the other hand, with 2 of the previous storylines, 2 participants have each added a new contribution. So in each case, what was a single storyline has bifurcated into 2 new versions of that storyline. In the fourth column, we can see the same process being repeated, but note that there are no new contributions added to the storylines that became extinct. Participants are not allowed to extend previously extinct storylines. In this iteration, 1 storyline has not been added to and now becomes extinct, and 1 storyline has 2 new contributions and thus branches out into new versions. This is the kernel of the ParEvo process. It is analogous to biological evolution in the sense that each storyline is like a species evolving over time. Some species go extinct because they don't fit their environment. Other species do fit their environment and continue to reproduce. And in some settings, these species split into new subgroups and even new species. In this ParEvo setting, the environment that the storylines have to survive in is the mental world of the participants, not the surrounding material world. That conceptual world in turn is influenced by the setting created by the facilitator of a ParEvo exercise, who tunes the constraints within which the participants can make their contributions. Here you can see a snapshot of what the ParEvo process looks like when you are using the ParEvo app. In the middle of the top of the page, you can see a body of text which has been written by the facilitator of a ParEvo exercise and which gives guidance to the participants on how to participate. This text can be updated with each new iteration of the ParEvo process according to need. To the left is a customizable graphic chosen by the facilitator to be symbolic or representative of the particular intention of the exercise underway. Underneath that graphic and down the left side of the page is a tree structure. In this version, the seed is at the top and each row below that represents a subsequent iteration of the ParEvo process. Lines connecting nodes in adjacent iterations represent particular storylines. Grey nodes represent extinct storylines, pale green nodes represent living storylines, and bright green nodes represent the one storyline that has been selected to be viewed in full textual detail in the area to the right of the tree structure. Each paragraph of that storyline is highlighted in a different color tone to represent the separate contributions made in each subsequent iteration. As mentioned above, no information is shown here on who the authors are of each of the contributions to the currently visible storyline, nor is any identity information shown in the tree diagram to the left. I should also explain at this point how users of the web app can navigate across the different storylines within a given ParEvo exercise. Above any displayed storyline, two arrows can be seen. Clicking on these will move the choice of storyline to be displayed left or right across the base of the tree diagram shown on the left. Alternatively, clicking on any of the nodes in the bottom row of the tree diagram will display the full text of the storyline that it belongs to. In addition, the text of extinct storylines can also be displayed by clicking on the last grey node in any extinct storyline. The number of iterations that are completed during a ParEvo exercise is up to the facilitator to determine, either at the beginning of the exercise or during the exercise itself. At some stage during an exercise, most likely after the final iteration, it is likely that the facilitator will want the participants to evaluate storylines that have been developed up to that point. The facilitator has two options. One is to use a built-in evaluation function. The other is to make use of third-party survey software, such as SurveyMonkey. Here I will just describe the use of the built-in function. When the facilitator makes use of this function, a new entity will appear on the ParEvo screen at the top of a storyline text as shown here. Each participant is asked to identify a storyline which best fits each of the evaluation criteria. For example, storyline X might be seen as the least desirable storyline, whereas storyline Y might be seen as the most desirable storyline, and storyline B might be seen as least likely and storyline C as most likely. While a given storyline could not be seen and selected as both most and least desirable, or as most and least likely by a single participant, it would be possible for a participant to select a single storyline as, for example, least desirable but most likely, or most desirable and most likely, etc. When all the participants have completed their evaluations of the storylines, their judgments are visible on the ParEvo screen as shown here. For any selected storyline, participants can see how many participants as a whole judged it as, in this example, least desirable, least likely, and most likely. In addition, the facilitator can download a matrix showing which participants selected which storyline on which evaluation criteria. If they want to, they can then share that data. After the completion of a ParEvo exercise, 5 different data sets can be downloaded, which document different aspects of the ParEvo process. The first data set is a participants times participants matrix. In this matrix, a cell value indicates the number of times the row participant has added a contribution to a previous contribution by the column participant. In social network analysis, this is known as an adjacency matrix. This kind of data can be directly imported into social network analysis software such as Usenet and used to generate a network diagram showing the connections between the participants in a way that is easier to comprehend than by simply looking at this kind of matrix. The second dataset is a participants times storylines matrix. In this matrix, the cell values indicate the number of times a row storyline received contributions from the column participant. In social network analysis, this is known as an affiliation matrix. The third dataset shows the aggregated responses of all the participants to the evaluation questions, with the surviving storylines listed row by row and evaluation criteria listed column by column. The individual cells tell us the number of times participants reported that the column criteria applied to the row storyline. The fourth dataset is a copy of the full text of all the storylines, including both the extinct and surviving storylines. The fifth dataset is a list of the participants' names and email addresses. If you visit the ParEvo website, as shown here, you'll be able to find two sections which explain in detail how these datasets can be analyzed. The section on content analysis describes ways of analyzing the text of the storylines. The section on participation analysis explains ways of analyzing the data about the participants, which is available in the first, second, and third dataset that I've just described. This is all I wanted to cover in this video, so I will stop at this point. Thank you for watching.